Okay, I'm still watching the Corey Anton A Few of My Views video. This is my number 3, responding to his 21 minutes. I've already eaten up 20. He's only at 14. He talks about feeling guilty at 14 minutes, and I also have been so very blessed and fortunate and lucky, and I worked hard at times, but I was born into not quite a silver spoon, maybe a copper spoon or something. I didn't have a wooden spoon, but at least I had a spoon. Uh, and so, yeah, I wonder why sometimes. Why? And I look around at other people, and in struggling for answers, that can be a struggle sometimes. And so I turn to God, or I turn to self, or I turn to science to try to figure everything out. And that, for me, it's a puzzle. It's a problem in a way that is not really a problem. It's sort of a pseudo problem. I puzzle myself as the self puzzles itself in various ways by means and levels and layers within layers, apparently without an end in sight. Okay, 16 minutes in, Corey's talking about his friends, Christians and atheists, and how he is oftentimes more comfortable around atheists. I can understand that, especially if Christians are pushy. And since Corey is obviously not a Christian, he might not be willing to commiserate or find the elation that Christians find in Jesus or miracles or the wonder, attributing it to God. And so that can be kind of uncomfortable. Being around people that are too raunchy, if you're not a raunchy person, that might be uncomfortable. Talking about myself, my wife and I, we went to a party, and there was a comedian there that was so raw that I at some point had enough. I said, I'm ready to go, and so we bailed. And it was just too personal, too weird. And so for Christians, I think I love being around Christians to some degree, to a point. One-on-one, I'm willing to go round and round. As a group, though, I'm not going to express a lot of my views because they're too non-Christian. And so that's kind of a funny thing. Same deal at funerals. I have a lot of views about life and life after death. I love the idea that life does go on after death until we're all reabsorbed in the great cosmic ocean, the sea of consciousness. And so, like, the play continues as Yukteswar was teaching students after he was dead and buried on Earth and reappeared to Yogananda. Assuming that's true, there are astral realms. Life does go on, and we get to go through the files, the Akashic record, but it doesn't go on forever and ever and ever. That there's an end. Beneath that bottomless pit are the everlasting arms, and eventually the ocean, the wave returns to the ocean, and that kind of a thing. That's one of my favorite views. So yeah, discomfort. A lot of atheists, they're not going to talk about God all the time. They're not going to shove their atheism down your throat. Although some of them might. And then I imagine Corey would say, "Hey, back off a little bit. I'm not anti-God, so whatever." Well, talking about dogma, I find myself sometimes not being as patriotic as a lot of other people. The people that are super patriots, I find that to be incongruous for me. A lot of times I feel guilty about being an American, as if I'm Washington, something like that. I have to tell myself, wait a minute, you're not Washington. Relax. What Washington does is not what you did, and so take it up a notch. Be an earthling. Don't be just from the States. That's not a good state of mind to be in. If I take a less than super patriotic stance, that can really upset the patriots. They don't like that at all. So I try not to do that. On the other hand, I find that I've been so indoctrinated, having said the Pledge of Allegiance for countless times in school, until we didn't have to do it anymore, then I just stood there and I stopped saying it. That was interesting, because I grew up in the 60s also. But then, having been in the Marine Corps, that's a real brainwash. And so when there's a funeral and here comes the flag, I find myself entirely broken up. It's a real trip to see how indoctrinated I am and how my brain has been washed on the one hand, and then the other hand, the blood is able to wash off the blood, and I'm free of all that. So that's pretty fun to see how my consciousness gets involved and evolved as it waves. The form expands and contracts point after point, regularly in amplitude and frequency. Yeah. Okay, almost 18 minutes out, Corey has expanded his view. He doesn't go so far as to say that he is the world or he is the universe. He stops short of that, which is it's a good place to stop. It makes for it makes for more interaction possible. And I like listening to Corey. He did say something about the heart, the lungs. There was another video I watched recently where a guy said, you can do without all these things. They can be replaced, but you can't replace your brain. And that's a funny sort of thing that I don't know how far that is actually true. Yeah, I got to cut this short. It's time to eat. 18 and a half minutes in almost. Hopefully I'll get back to this later.